Web Draft 10-Year Plan Dunedin. Opening announcement. This is Tō tātou eke whakamuri, the future is us. O te poti Dunedin 10-Year Plan Consultation Document 2021 to 2031. It's narrated by Margaret Blay in Blind Low Vision New Zealand's Henderson Studios. Contents. The material comes in this order. Join the conversation, Mayor's message, rates, debt, 10-year budget, impact of COVID-19, Three Waters reform, looking after what we have, working with mana whenua, responding to climate change, reducing our waste, moving around our city, growth, our great small city, replacing roads and more. Here are some of the things we do, where we get our money from, fees and charges, development contributions, rates remission and postponement policy, independent auditors report, join the conversation, feedback form. Korerohia mai. Join the conversation. This consultation document sets out the key issues and proposals that are included in the 10-year plan. We've got some ideas about what the priorities should be, based on what you've told us before and the challenges we're facing. However, it's really important that you tell us what you think about the ideas. We want to know what you think about the proposed spending and projects for the next 10 years. We've got some specific questions that we're keen to get your feedback on. They relate to Kerbside collection, moving around our city, community housing, a performing arts venue, and public toilets. There are different ways to share your views on all the things we're planning. These include completing the feedback form online or at the back of this booklet, having a chat with councillors, or getting in touch on social media. We're holding hearings where you can talk directly to your councillors about your views. For a list of activities and events and all the ways you can join the conversation, go to our website www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz. To do what we're planning, we have proposed a rates rise of 9.8% in the first year of the plan and an average of 5.7% over the following 9 years. We would also need to take on much more debt. He aha te mahere kahurutaka. What is the 10-year plan? The 10-year plan helps shape our city for the future. The plan outlines the services and activities the DCC aims to provide, the things we want to do, and the level of service the community can expect. The plan also includes how much we expect things to cost, how we will pay for them, and what it all means for rates and debt. Key dates. 23rd of March, feedback starts. 27th of March to 29th of April, feedback activities and events. 29th of April, feedback closes. 10th of May to the 13th of May, hearings. 31st of May to the 4th of June, the Council considers your feedback. 30th of June, 10-year plan approved. This booklet highlights the key points you need to know. For more information about our plans, such as finances, policies, projects, and the services we provide, go to www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or visit our community engagement space or any of our libraries or service centres. He kōrero nā te Koromatua. Kia ora, nau mai ki te tuhinga huki o te mahere kahurutaka tō tātou eke whakamuri. He tuhika whakamārama tēnei I ka tāke matua kai te kaunihera, kai tēnei tāone nei hoki I te kahurutaka I heke mai nei, I tuatu rā hoki. Ka kitea marika I te tohe nui o ka momo take nui. I marohi ana mātou ki te whakapau I te kotahi irakati rima piriona tāra, hei ka tau kahuru I heke mai nei ki te whakahou I ka kōrere me ka rori ki te whakapai I ka puna kaukau me ka papatākaro, a ki te kōkiri whakamua tau te tāone. Tata te ruahau toru o tēnei mahi e aro atu ana ki te whakahoutaka o te hakaaka e pakeke haere ana, I taua wātou e whakatūria ana te pūnaha hou ki te kohi para, a e mātua whakarete ana I te whakawhitika pono ki te oraka tōtaka o te taiao. Kei te haka hoki I etahi rauhaka hapori pēne I te whare pukapuka ki rakiatia o te poti ki te toka, I te puna kaukau hou ki te kōnika a matamata, a kei te mahere tia hoki he whare tāpere hou. Haere tahi ana ki te whakahoutaka o tātou ake rawa, me mātua toko I te whakakunetaka e rakona ai e te taone nei I tēnei wātou. I marohi ana mātou ki te haka e etahi whare noho anō hai Urupare I te pikika o te taupori, a ka tuku pūtea hoki ki ka rauara waka ki a nui ake anō ai te whirika o te momo waka. Te rere hoki o aua waka, me te whakatika ake anō hoki o ka rauhaka waka ke kai a tātou, pēra I ka tauraka waka. E kari he utu anō I ene āhuaraka katoa, koia I marohi ana te whakapiki I te utu reti me te tono pūtea. Kai te marama pū ne mātou, he whakaawe nui te marohitaka whakapiki take kaunihera ki te huka mahi moni iti, ki te huka mahi moni māhoi hoki. Kai te mohio hoki mātou te tōmuri o eni mahi, me te mea nei ki te kore e whakatika I naia nei ka nui ke ake te utu ki a mātou I ka tau e heke mai nei. Hai hoa haere I ka wero ōhaka, tūtaka rerewa ana I te hua o ka whakahoutaka kāwana ki ka whakahairetaka o ka rawa, me tā mātou tuku tika I te waihai inu, te whakaputa tika I te paratakata, me te wai āwhā. He tūhika mahere wawata nui tēnei I tāna e whai ai. Ka hoki atu anō mātou ki te moni tōpū hai te mātahi o te tau, I mua I te whakai mātua ki tēnei mahere nei. Mārama pū ana mātou, he taumata tō, kai te kāwea e o tātou taupori. Arā te whakahau mo te wai ki ka hapori ki waikuwaiti, ki karetāne, ki pātamariki hoki, ki a kauraka I inu, tai anō atu rā, ki te mānuka ki kōwhio te kaumaiwa. Tēnā, tukuna mai tō reo ki tēnei matapaki, me whakamohio mai ki o wāwata, me āwhina mai hoki ki a whao ai he āpopo whakamiharo mō tēnei taone nei. The Mayor's Message. Kia ora and welcome to our draft 10-year plan, Tō tātou eke whakamuri, the future of us. This document outlines the key issues for the Council and the City over the next decade and beyond. As you'll see, there are many competing priorities. We plan to spend $1.5 billion over 10 years, renewing pipes and roads, upgrading pools and playgrounds, and planning for the future. Nearly 2/3 of this work is focused on renewing our aging infrastructure, at the same time as introducing a new and improved Kerbside collection system, and ensuring a just transition towards a safer climate future. We're also building new community facilities such as a library in South Dunedin, a swimming pool in Mosgiel, and we're planning a new mid-sized theatre. As well as improving what we already have, we need to support the continued growth the city's experiencing. We're proposing to build more community housing units in response to growing demand, and invest in our transport network to create greater mode choice, better traffic flow, and more efficient use of existing resources like parking. But all of this comes at a cost, which is why we're proposing rates rises and increased borrowing. We're conscious of the impact the proposed rates rises will have on low and fixed income earners especially. We also know that a lot of the work is overdue, and inaction now will only cost us all more in the long run. Alongside the economic challenges, there's uncertainty about what will happen as a result of government reform in areas such as resource management and how we deliver drinking water, wastewater and stormwater services. This draft plan is ambitious in terms of what we want to achieve. We will be reviewing the capital budget figures in May before the final plan is adopted. We're aware our residents have got a lot to cope with at the moment. There's the Do Not Drink water notice for the Waikuaiti, Karitani and Hawkesbury Village communities, and the general uncertainty created by COVID-19. We hope you will join the conversation, let us know what's important to you, and help shape the future of this great small city. Aaron Hawkins, Mayor of Dunedin, Te Koromatua o Ōtepoti. Ka tāke kaunihera, rates. If you own property, then you pay rates. The level of rates set by the council depends mainly on what services and facilities the community wants. An overall rates rise of 9.8% is proposed for the first year of this 10-year plan. After that, the increase varies, but will be 5.7% on average across the following 9 years. We know higher rates can be hard for people to afford, and the DCC will be doing its bit too. Staff need to save $4 million in the first year of the plan, so we'll be looking at how we can improve the way we do things. As well as outlining what overall rates rises are planned, we have to have rates limits so our community is clear about what to expect over the next 10 years. We propose limiting the rates increase to 10% in the first year to help us cover the costs of running the city. The rates limit will be 6.5% on average over the next 9 years. We know these are big increases, but we can't keep rates low and still do the things the community wants and that we need to do, such as replace old pipes. This section is accompanied by a diagram headed, "This diagram shows what we spend your rates on." This diagram is similar to a pie chart, and in the middle is rates revenue 10-year total. The pie is divided up as follows. $67 million economic development, 3%. $161 million community and planning, 7%. $317 million aratoi, arts and culture, 13%. $121 million property, 5%. $402 million reserves and recreational facilities, 17%. Governance and support services, 2%. $261 million roading and footpaths, 11%. $868 million three waters, 37%. $128 million waste management, 5%. Find out more. www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz. Ka nama, debt. Currently, we have debt of $257 million. We need to be able to borrow more money so that we can deliver what we need to do. Our last 10-year plan had a fixed amount that we could borrow of $350 million. We need to increase the amount we spend on renewing and building new assets, and this borrowing limit will not be enough to let us do that. Spending to maintain and renew our assets is a big priority, and we need debt to help us do this. Our draft financial strategy sets our debt limit differently, allowing us to borrow up to 250% of our revenue. This new way to set our debt limit is commonly used by big councils across New Zealand. It means we will be able to deliver our planned capital projects, and we could fund any emergency work if we needed to. The 250% of revenue is a debt limit, not a goal or target. We will only borrow money if we need it. Setting a flexible debt limit will help us deliver our big capital program for the next 10 years. The current plans mean we would be borrowing 211% of revenue, $880 million, by the end of the 10 years. We do have investments that we can use to offset our debt. These investments, worth about $300 million, are the Waipori Fund, an investment property portfolio, and our investment in council companies. There is always a trade-off between doing stuff and paying for it, and borrowing is one way to try to find a balance. Borrowing spreads the load across generations. Some people think this is fair, some don't. Te tahua mo te kahurutaka, 10-year budget. This section is set out in 2 columns. The first headed Capital Costs for the next 10 years. The second headed Operating Costs for the next 10 years. I'll read the field, then the capital costs for the next 10 years and the percentage of the total, then the operating costs for the next 10 years and the percentage of the total. Roading and footpaths. Capital costs for the next 10 years, $440 million, 29%. Operating costs for the next 10 years, $581 million, 17%. 3 waters. Capital costs, $562 million, 37%. Operating costs, $808 million, 23%. Waste management. Capital costs, $109 million, 7%. Operating costs, $257 million, 7%. Reserves and recreational facilities. Capital costs, $113 million, 8%. Operating costs, $429 million, 12%. Property. Capital costs, $225 million, 15%. Operating costs, $420 million, 12%. Aratoi, arts and culture. Capital costs, $20 million, 1%. Operating costs, $223 million, 7%. Regulatory services. Capital costs, $5 million, no percentage given. Operating costs, $127 million, 4%. Community and planning, $4 million, no percentage given. Operating costs, $135 million, 4%. Economic development, capital costs, $0. Operating costs, $51 million, 2%. Governance and support services, capital costs, $47 million, 3%. Operating costs, $415 million, 12%. Capital costs total, $1.5 billion. Operating costs total, $3.4 billion. Te pātaka mai o kōwhiori te kaumaiwa. Impact of COVID-19. Everyone is grappling with what the ongoing impact of COVID-19 will be. This means there's uncertainty for the DCC, the local economy and the community about what will happen over the next few years. The DCC has an important role to play in the way the city recovers economically and socially. However, the uncertainty created by COVID-19 means developing long-term budgets is a big challenge. Lockdowns or alert level changes are likely to affect the economy, change how we talk to our community, and possibly hold up work on big projects because of supply chain delays. Revenue from some of our activities has been impacted by COVID-19, but we think it will slowly recover as international visitors return to our city. It's a big challenge to balance all the things that need to be taken into account. Ka whakahoutaka e toru o te wai. 3 Waters Reform. In July 2020, the government launched the 3 Waters Reform Programme, a 3-year programme to change the way drinking water, wastewater and stormwater are regulated and delivered. The Council has signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the government to work together to explore how 3 water services could be delivered in the future. The Council has the option of opting out of this process at a later date. One of the proposed changes is for a small number of larger regional bodies to run these services instead of councils. These entities would be publicly owned and have an improved ability to raise money to meet investment needs. Dunedin residents will continue to receive 3 Waters services, whether the DCC delivers these or not. Funding has been given to councils which agreed to take part in the first stage of the reform programme. the DCC is using its share of the funding to improve the performance of our water, wastewater and stormwater systems in the Dunedin city area. At the moment, there's not enough information for us to talk to the community about what the reforms mean for the city. For that reason, our 10-year plan includes all of our Three Waters activities for the whole 10-year period. You will get to have a say on what's planned. Further information about the government's reform strategy and timeline, including when communities would be consulted, is available at www.dia.nz/3-waters-reform-program. Tiakina tātou rawa, looking after what we have. It's the DCC's job to provide safe drinking water, treat and get rid of wastewater, and dispose of stormwater. It's also our job to look after the city's assets, including public roads, footpaths and bridges unless they are part of the state highway network, and parks and reserves. We have a plan for managing DCC Three Waters and transport networks for the next 50 years. We've looked 50 years ahead so we can prepare for what the city will need in the future. Once we get past the first 10 years, it's harder to be certain about what will need to be done and when. We also need to respond to anything that comes up, such as the recent issue of elevated lead readings in the drinking water at Waikawaiti, Karitani and Hawkesbury Village. We are working hard to try to find the source of the lead. We are replacing about 5 kilometres of old pipe with lead joins in the area. The upgrade of the local treatment plant is planned for the first year of the 10-year plan. That work is being prioritised. Replacing assets such as ageing water and wastewater pipes is critical. We now know more about our assets than we did 3 years ago, but we need to learn more. We think that some assets may be in better condition than we expect given their age, and they will still work well, but others may need replacing sooner. In the first 3 years, our focus will be on fixing the things that need it most. We plan to spend a lot more than we have in the past doing this. At the same time, we will continue our work to get even better information on the condition of our assets and their performance to help us plan our program of future work. If we find that the condition of some of our assets is worse than we expect, we may have to spend more money to fix them. We would be able to pay for this by debt. We could also reprioritise planned spending so we can continue to provide the expected level of service. Either way, we want to make sure that the services we provide to you are maintained. In doing all this work, we need to balance what we do and how we pay for it. This means that of our $1.5 billion capital budget, we'd be spending about $950 million on replacing things, compared to $520 million included in our last 10-year plan. This is more than we put aside for the entire capital budget in the last 10-year plan. The $950 million will be spent on replacing old water, wastewater and stormwater pipes, mains and sewers, resealing roads and footpaths, curb and channel work, and maintaining bridges and retaining walls, maintaining public facilities such as playgrounds, swimming pools, toilets, gardens, and sports field lighting, looking after our properties such as our community housing units. This graph shows how much we plan to spend on replacing and improving things and on providing for growth in Dunedin. Capital spending on our assets for years ending 30th of June. This is a bar graph with sums of money on the Y or vertical axis and years on the X or horizontal axis. Figures are approximate. 2022, replacing things, $87 million. Adding new things, this increases to $148 million. Adding growth, this increases to $152 million. 2023, replacing things, $86 million. Adding new things increases to $145 million. Adding growth increases to $151 million. 2024, replacing things, $80 million. Adding new things increases to $137 million. Adding growth increases to $141 million. 2025, replacing things, $88 million. Adding new things increases to $150 million. Adding growth increases to $158 million. 2026, replacing things, $79 million. Adding new things increases to $146 million. Adding growth increases to $157 million. 2027, replacing things, $90 million. Adding new things increases to $145 million. Adding growth increases to $155 million. 2028, replacing things, $100 million. Adding new things increases to $141 million. Adding growth increases to $151 million. 2029, replacing things, $107 million. Adding new things increases to $146 million. Adding growth increases to $154 million. 2030, replacing things, $111 million. Adding new things increases to $137 million. Adding growth increases to $142 million. 2031, replacing things, $122 million. Adding new things increases to $158 million. Adding growth increases to $161 million. Investing in the right way. We've taken a lot into account when we've looked at what our capital spending program should be. We've considered our assets and their condition, prioritising replacing things over new projects, possible impacts on climate change and zero carbon targets, what we're required to do by law, our ability to deliver in terms of staff and contractors, timing, what we can get done over the 10 years, how we would pay for the work. We know delivering a $1.5 billion work program will be a big challenge. We're doing a range of things to try to make this happen, such as improving our planning, talking to contractors earlier, and doing a better job of managing projects. We are also entering into long-term contracts with both designers and construction contractors to help secure delivery of our projects. We'll also be reviewing the capital budget figures in May before the final plan is adopted. Kia mahi tahi me mana whenua. He nui whakaharahara te aki tū me te rakapū haere ake nei kia kai tahu me te iwi Māori. Kai te aro manawa nui mātou ki te tiriti o Waitaki mā tō tātou rakapū ki mana whenua me ka runaka e rua, arā, ko te runaka o tākou me ka tihui rapa ki puke te raki, wai hoki kia mātā waka, no waho atu, mā te marae o ārai te uru. He tini ara I whakatinanahia tō tāua rakapū o te tiriti ki te taha rautaki me te taha mahi. Anei I tahi tino kaupapa rakapū a rautaki. Te whakatū I te tahi tuka, arā he kai whakamahere I te tau I 2,000 te kaumaiwa, ki te kaunihera rohe o te poti. He tuka whakahaere tēnei, he āwhina a rautaki, he ārahi hoki ki te kaunihera. Kia whakahua ka āhika, I waika I mana whenua me mātā waka ki o te poti. I whakarete tētahi honoka whakaitaka I te tau I 2,000 te kaumaiwa, I waika I te kaunihera a rohe o te poti me Okaka Limited, he kamupeni o ka runaka o te rohe nei. Mā te mahi tahi me Okaha Limited, te honoka mahi e mātua aro atu, ki ka whakaro tau o kaitahu. Ka tūtaki tō te honoka ki mana whenua mā tā mātou mahi, ki te whakahoutaka o ka whanoka o te honoka tiriti me te arahi rautaki whakamarumaru mō kai Māori ki o te puti, ki te rautaki pō tā rawa o te kaunihera ārohe o te puti. Me tūtoki ka tika te pō tā rawa ka hiahia o te iwi Māori ki o te puti, kia marama ai, kia uru ai, ki ka whaika a tikaka, a pūtea, a taiao, a tākata ki te tāone nei. Ka mahi tahi tātou ko mana whenua, ki ka tino kaupapa, arā, ko te whakamohoa o te tiriti o George, ka kaupapa a para, te waiheke o te puti ki te toka, te poka pū matehiko hurika me tōna pō tā rawa tikaka, kia tūwhera ai ka ara rereke mō ka kaimahi o te kaunihera ārohe o te puti, hei āhuaraki mō te tiriti, te ao Māori me te hitori o kai tahu. Working with mana whenua. Long-term success and an enduring partnership with kai tahu and Māori are important to us. We're committed to the Treaty of Waitangi through our partnership with mana whenua by way of the two local papatipu runaka, te runanga o tāko and kati huirapa ki Puketeraki, and with mātāwaka, non-kai tahu, through Araitiuru Marae. There are a number of ways in which we express our treaty partnership at both strategic and operational levels. Here are a couple of the key strategic partnership projects. Establishing a kai whakamahere position in 2019 within the DCC. This is an executive position that provides strategic advice and direction for council strategies and works to develop partnership opportunities with mana whenua and mātāwaka in Ōtepoti. Creating a partnership agreement in 2019 between the DCC and Runaka-based consultancy service Ōkaha Limited. Working with Ōkaha provides operational level engagement that reflects the priorities and interests of kai tahu. We continue to engage with mana whenua through our work on the development of treaty partnership principles and the development of an overarching strategic direction for Māori in Ōtepoti as part of the DCC's strategic framework. The framework will ensure Māori development aspirations in Ōtepoti are understood and incorporated into the city's cultural, economic, environmental and social outcomes. Operationally, we continue to work with mana whenua on key issues such as the George Street upgrade, waste initiatives, South Dunedin future, Kaupapa Centre of Digital Excellence, and a cultural framework that will provide different ways for DCC staff to learn more about the treaty, te ao Māori, and kai tahu history. Urupare ana ki te hurika āhuaraki, responding to climate change. Climate change is the biggest challenge facing communities across the world, including Dunedin. The DCC began work to adapt to a changing environment, adaptation, more than a decade ago, and reduce emissions, mitigation, soon after. Mitigation, our zero carbon 2030 target. In June 2019, the Council voted to declare a climate emergency and speed up efforts to become a net zero carbon city, bringing forward Dunedin's target for achieving that goal by 20 years to 2030. To meet our zero carbon 2030 target, we need to cut carbon emissions. In the 10-year plan, we are prioritising investment to reduce emissions from transport, because it's our largest and fastest growing source of emissions, and waste, because we provide waste and recycling services, we can help make a difference. At the same time, we're working hard to lead by example by reducing the DCC's own emissions. Some of the practical things we're doing right now include upgrading the city's 15,000 streetlights to more energy-efficient LEDs and replacing our vehicle fleet with EVs as they come up for replacement. Keep an eye out for New Zealand's first electric mobile library here in Dunedin. In the 10-year plan, we've included budget to cut the DCC's LPG use by about 80%. This includes $3.3 million to install a second heat recovery heat pump at Mosgiel Pool, cutting 75% of our LPG use at the facility, and then installing either a wood pellet boiler or an air source heat pump, which would mean using no LPG at all. Working with other organisations to look at a low-emissions district energy scheme for parts of the central city. It works if several of the DCC's facilities could join the scheme. We're also considering our zero-carbon target when we make decisions about any big projects, such as the new Mosgiel Pool, making sure Dunedin's voice is heard at a national level by making submissions to government on key legislation, reaching out to mana whenua and other key partners to start working collaboratively on citywide emissions reductions. We can only achieve the zero-carbon 2030 target if we all work together. In 2021-22, we'll be working with the community to develop a zero-carbon plan for Dunedin, so we're all clear about what needs to be done and how we'll get there. We've put $831,000 each year in the draft budget to progress this work. Adaptation, South Dunedin future. In terms of adapting to climate change, we face significant challenges, especially relating to sea level rise and more frequent severe storms causing flooding. We've had a big project underway for several years that focuses on South Dunedin, which has been built on reclaimed land, has high groundwater levels, and is vulnerable to sea level rise. We're working with the community, the Otago Regional Council, central government and others on ways to adapt to these changes in the longer term. Part of this project involves us spending about $37 million over the next decade, improving our stormwater systems to reduce South Dunedin's flooding risk. We're also developing a separate but closely related adaptation plan for the area's coastline, which will look at coastal erosion and provide a long-term vision of how we could manage our coastline. Find out more. www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz. Ka mimiti I te para, reducing our waste. We want to improve Dunedin's whole waste system, including what we collect, what we recycle or reuse, and what has to go to a landfill. The Council has committed to being part of a national and global movement to cut carbon emissions and reduce the amount of waste that goes to landfills. Waste goals. Dunedin aims to be a zero-waste city by 2030, and the DCC actively encourages waste reduction and recycling. The city will still need a way to dispose of some waste for many years to come. We are required to have a plan that sets both the direction for reducing waste and our goals for managing rubbish and recycling. The Council adopted a new waste minimisation and management plan in 2020. The goals include being less reliant on overseas markets for recyclable items, advocating for and educating people about waste minimisation, protecting people's health and the environment from the harmful effects of waste. Here are some key things we're working on to help us meet our goals. We're planning to spend about $21 million on new facilities to help us better manage and reduce our waste and reduce emissions. All of this spending will happen in the first 3 years. These things include a facility such as a worm farm to process food waste and garden waste separately into a material that can be reused, e.g. compost. New improved equipment to sort the items from our yellow-lidded recycling bins, so we reduce contamination and can more easily find markets for these recyclables. Rummage store located in the central city/North Dunedin area to sell second-hand items. A facility where construction material that can be recycled is separated out and processed, e.g. crushing concrete, so it can be used as a base for new roads. Equipment to turn recycled plastics into pellets that can be made into new plastic products. Smooth Hill/Green Island landfill. We've got $56 million in the budget, 2024 to 25 to 2028-29, to develop a new landfill at Smooth Hill, south of the city. Smooth Hill has been identified as a suitable site, and we are working through the resource consent process. With the Green Island landfill coming to the end of its life, we need to develop a new modern landfill, when the Green Island landfill closes, we hope to put a solar farm on the site. Kerbside rubbish and recycling collection. Currently, the DCC provides a curbside collection for rubbish and recycling in urban areas and rural townships. We're looking at changes to this service because we want to encourage more recycling and less waste. We're also getting rid of DCC black plastic rubbish bags. In March-April last year, we asked you what you thought about ideas for a future curbside collection service. Based on community feedback and a Ministry for the Environment report recommending standardized curbside collections across the country, we're asking what you think about two options for the future. With both options, we would replace the black rubbish bag with a red-lidded wheelie bin, keep the existing blue crate for glass, and keep the yellow-lidded wheelie bin for mixed recycling. Separating out food waste from green waste would provide better options for processing and reusing the materials. Food waste should be reduced as people become more aware of how much food they are throwing away. Taking food and green waste out of our landfill will also help us reduce our carbon emissions. Preferred option, 4 bins plus 1. Keep blue crate for glass, 45 litres, and yellow-lidded recycling bin, 80 to 240 litres. For fortnightly mixed recycling, plus new, replace the current black rubbish bag with a red-lidded wheelie bin, 80 to 140 litres, for fortnightly general waste, and a separate food bin, 23 litres, for weekly food waste. New optional green waste bin, paid for separately, 240 litres, for fortnightly garden waste. Cost. Estimated rates in the first year of the new service:
4 bins, $270 to $310. Optional garden waste bin, additional cost, $140 to $180.
Alternative option, 3 bins. Keep blue crate for glass, 45 litres for fortnightly glass recycling, and yellow-lidded recycling bin, 80 to 240 litres, for fortnightly mixed recycling. Plus new, replace the current black rubbish bag with a red-lidded wheelie bin, 80 to 140 litres, for weekly general waste. Cost. Estimated rates in the first year of the new service, $260 to $300. Korerohia mai. Join the conversation. Have your say online at www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or at the end of this booklet. Te nuku I te tō tātou tāone, moving around our city. We want to make sure people can get around the city as safely and easily as possible. It's good news that our population is growing, and that some big projects, such as the new hospital, are planned for the city, but this will have an impact on how we get around. We're doing our best to coordinate projects so they happen in the right order, and we keep things moving as well as we can. Construction of the new Dunedin hospital is expected to start next year. Since 2018, we've been working with Whakahoutaka NZ Transport Agency and the Otago Regional Council on the best ways for people to get around the city during and after the hospital construction. This package of work is called the Shaping Future Dunedin Transport, SFDT, program. Our key aims are improving public transport, creating good alternative routes, and providing clear information so we have an accessible city while the hospital is being built and afterwards. As part of the SFDT program, the DCC is proposing to carry out 6 projects totaling just over $50 million. Some of the projects are partly funded by Whakahoutaka. For each project, our share of the capital costs would be funded by debt. The ongoing costs that are paid for by rates include interest, depreciation, and maintenance. The proposed 6 projects. Harbour arterial improvements, $16.6 million. Our share is $8.1 million. Completion of the Harbour arterial route so traffic has an alternative route which bypasses the central city. This route will be particularly useful to divert heavy vehicles from the city centre. When finished, the Harbour arterial will run along Frederick, Ward, Thomas Burns and Wharf Streets. There will also be real-time signs showing motorists the quickest routes to take around the city. When finished in 2026-27, $900,000 ongoing costs each year, paid by rates. Central City Parking Management, $11 million. We pay the full cost. We know people are concerned about the availability of parking in the city centre and around the new hospital. We plan to improve the way we manage parking by providing ways to help motorists find a parking spot, e.g., electronic signs showing where and how many parks are available across the city, improving technology to make it easier to manage parking, extending paid parking areas in the central city. When finished in 2025-26, $800,000 ongoing costs each year, paid for by rates. Park and ride facilities at Mosgiel and Burnside, $10.3 million. Our share is $5 million. Most of the car trips, 65% into the city, are made by people coming from the south. We want to provide parking so people from areas such as Mosgiel and Burnside can leave their cars and take an express bus into the city. This would reduce traffic congestion in the city, particularly at peak times. When finished in 2028-29, $500,000 ongoing costs each year, paid by rates. Princes Street Bus Lane, $6.6 million. Our share is $3.2 million. Princes Street is a busy road for commuters and has a high road safety risk. The aim of this proposed project is to provide a separate bus lane along Princes Street from South Road to Mance Street and then to Moray Place, so bus trips would be faster, encouraging more people to take public transport. We plan to install pedestrian crossings along Princes Street, connecting each side of the road and providing good access to bus stops. We also want to make improvements so it's safer and easier for people who want to walk and cycle into the city from the south. When finished in 2023-24, $300,000 ongoing costs each year, paid by rates. Central cycle and pedestrian improvements, $5 million. Our share is $2.4 million. We plan to fill gaps in the central cycle network by providing cycleways in St Andrew, Bank, George and Albany streets. As the cycleway network has been completed on the Harbour side, there would then be a direct link from the Harbour to the city centre via the University of Otago. We will also be improving the footpaths in these areas to make it safer to walk along this route. We propose putting in more Barnsdance crossings to make it easier to access the new hospital. When finished in 2025-26, $300,000 ongoing costs each year, paid by rates. Central City Bike Hubs, Parking and Facilities, $2.5 million. Our share is $1.2 million. Currently, the Central City doesn't have much secure and sheltered bike parking. We hope to encourage more people to cycle by installing hubs where bikes can be securely stored. The hubs, which would be in North Dunedin, the Central City, and South Dunedin/the Oval, would also have repair and charging services. When finished in 2026-27, $100,000 ongoing costs each year, paid by rates. Which of these 6 projects do you support? Korerohia mai. Join the conversation. Have your say online at www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or at the end of this booklet. Whakatipu. Growth. Dunedin is moving from a low to higher growth city. A major part of responding to growth is looking at housing. As well as improving the situation for people who live here now, we also need to plan for our growing population. What we're doing. Dunedin needs to have more homes that are healthy and affordable. We know we can't do this on our own, so we're working with other organisations and developers to make this happen. We're also asking central government to do its part, including investing in more houses. As part of our work, we're making it easier for developers by providing help with planning and building processes and continuing to invest in the Cosy Homes Charitable Trust and Warm Dunedin program. Visit www.dunedin.govt.nz/housing for more information. Planning changes. We are proposing changes to the second generation Dunedin City District Plan, 2GP, to provide for more housing. With the city's growing population, more capacity is needed. If the rule and zoning changes go ahead, some areas will be rezoned so new houses can be built. The changes would also mean the density of housing could be increased in existing suburbs through measures such as allowing smaller site sizes, providing for duplexes, and removing the restrictions on who can live in family flats. Visit www.dunedin.govt.nz/variation-2 to find out more about these proposed planning changes, which are called Variation 2 Additional Housing Capacity. Services to cater for growth. The planning changes we're proposing to cater for growth have been developed in conjunction with work to make sure new homes will have access to services such as roads, water and wastewater. We must also make sure current pipes and roads can take any extra load from further development in existing suburbs. We intend to spend $77 million over 10 years to extend services into areas that will be developed for housing. Our role as landlord. The DCC is the largest landlord for community housing in the city, with about 940 units. We want to hear from you about what direction we take with our housing. DCC community housing is meant to break even, but in reality it costs us more to run and maintain the units than we get from rents. This means some rates funding is used to provide the service. We want to know if the DCC should aim to provide community housing at no cost to ratepayers. This would mean putting up rents for community housing tenants. Our rents are low compared with other centres and market rents. Do you support rates being used to subsidise rents for the DCC's community housing? While we continue to replace and upgrade existing units, we haven't built any new ones since 2010. We think it's time to develop some new community housing, and we want your feedback on two options. Our preferred option is to spend $1 million a year for the next 10 years, and this is what we've included in the draft budget. $1 million will get us 4 new housing units each year. The other option is to spend double this, $20 million over 10 years. Preferred option, that the DCC spends $10 million to build more community housing units. $10 million capital cost paid for by debt, $2 million from rates in total over the 10 years if rates continue to subsidise rents. This means an average homeowner would pay about $30 more in rates in total over the 10 years if rates continue to subsidise rents. Alternative option, that the DCC spends $20 million to build more community housing units. $20 million capital cost paid for by debt, $4 million from rates in total over the 10 years if rates continue to subsidise rents. This means an average homeowner would pay about $60 more in rates in total over the 10 years if rates continue to subsidise rents. At the moment, priority for our houses is given to people aged 55 and over. This age limit was decided when the demand for housing was lower. Now we have a larger waiting list. We are considering giving priority to people aged 65 and over. Most of our current tenants are in the 65-plus age group, and the number of people in that age category is projected to rise over the next 20 years. Do you support the DCC prioritising its community housing for people aged 65 and over? Korerohia mai. Join the conversation. Have your say online at www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or at the end of this booklet. Tō tātou tāone whakamiharo, our great small city. A great quality of life is one of the things that makes Dunedin special. We want to make sure the city continues to be an attractive and interesting place to live in and visit. We're planning to spend millions of dollars on our facilities, including pools and playgrounds, to make sure they are safe and meet the needs of the community. Here are some of our big priorities over the next 10 years. Performing arts venue. Dunedin does not have a flexible mid-sized auditorium of 350 to 450 seats. After discussion with mana whenua, the arts sector and funding organisations, we're asking the community about two options, the Athenaeum in the Octagon and the Mayfair Theatre in South Dunedin. Neither site is currently owned or operated by the DCC. The Athenaeum would be a partnership project with developer Zeal Land Limited. The Mayfair Theatre option would mean redeveloping the existing theatre, which is owned by the Mayfair Theatre Charitable Trust, but could possibly be bought by the DCC. The Council's preferred option is the Athenaeum. Developing a theatre there would support our plan to develop the wider Octagon area into a creative precinct. The Athenaeum is also close to restaurants and bars and the bus hub. If this option is chosen, we expect the venue would open in 2027-28. Redeveloping the Mayfair Theatre would support our efforts to regenerate South Dunedin and would be a boost for businesses in the area. If this option is chosen, we expect the venue would open in 2026-27. Preferred option, the Athenaeum. $17.1 million capital cost paid by debt. $4.6 million ongoing costs each year paid by rates once the venue is open. This means an average homeowner would pay about $65 more in rates each year. Alternative option, the Mayfair Theatre. $31.2 million capital cost paid by debt. $3.7 million ongoing costs each year paid by rates once the venue is open. This means an average homeowner would pay about $50 more in rates each year. Korerohia mai. Join the conversation. Have your say online at www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or at the end of this booklet. Mosgiel Pool. Cost $19.2 million. Construction of a new pool for the Mosgiel and Tahi community starts in June. It will be completed and open at the beginning of the 2022-23 summer. Community support for the new pool has been strong, with the Tahi Community Facilities Trust raising more than $4 million and the DCC paying the rest. The new complex will include an 8-lane main pool, hydrotherapy pool, learn-to-swim pool with a toddler's area, and spa pool. There will also be family and accessible changing rooms and a community meeting space. The new pool will be built next to the current pool at the western end of Memorial Park. It will be open all year compared to the current pool, which is open 7 months of the year. The existing pool will be demolished before construction of the new facility, so this season will be its last. The new pool has been designed with energy efficiency in mind and will be heated using boilers run on wood chips. South Dunedin Library and Community Complex. Cost $11.6 million. The South Dunedin Library and Community Complex has been planned for a long time. Now we are ready to start work on the new purpose-built complex located on the corner of King Edward Street and McAndrew Road. This work will begin in mid-2021. The facility will be a focal point for the community, and it will help with the regeneration of the South Dunedin area. The new complex will be designed to at least a 4 Green Star environmental rating, and it will be built to minimise the risk of flooding. We expect the facility to open in the 2023-24 year. www.dunedin.govt.nz/South D Library, all one word. Here's a couple of other things we're doing. Moana Pool. We're planning a multi-million-dollar upgrade of Moana Pool over the next 4 years to make sure it remains the region's top aquatic facility. Playgrounds, sports fields and tracks. Over the next 10 years, we're planning on spending $9.2 million improving our parks, playgrounds, sports fields, tracks and trails. Public toilets. We're planning to spend $3.2 million over the next 10 years to improve 65 existing public toilets, build a new changing places bathroom, and put in 2 new toilets a year from 2022-23. A changing places bathroom is a place where people with multiple or complex disabilities can get changed in a safe, clean environment. It has toilet, shower and change facilities for adults or children and their caregivers. As well as the changing places bathroom we're planning to build in the central city in 2021-22, one will also be included in the new South Dunedin Library and Community Complex. Korerohia mai. Join the conversation. Have your say online at www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or at the end of this booklet. Whakakapihia nōtia ka huanui me e tahi atu. Replacing roads and more. Over the next decade, we plan to spend $246 million on replacing sealed roads and footpaths, compared to the $161 million we budgeted for last time. This is to help us maintain our roads. Tahi helps pay for this work, but its funding is limited, so any shortfall will come from debt and rates. Some transport updates follow. Peninsula Connection. The low road around the Otago Peninsula is being widened and raised to make it safer and more attractive. Most of the road is being widened by 5 to 6 metres, and a new rock seawall and shared cycle/pedestrian path are being built. Work is currently underway on the section of road between Company Bay and Broad Bay. We're planning to spend a further $9.7 million to finish the section from Vauxhall to Portobello. There's no budget to complete the project beyond Portobello at this stage. The bridge. In the last 10-year plan, we included $20 million for an architectural pedestrian/cycleway bridge to link the city centre and the waterfront. Staff are working with mana whenua and other stakeholders to review the aims and scope of this project and will report back to the Council in May. Tertiary Precinct. In the last 10-year plan, we talked with you about upgrading the area around the University of Otago and Otago Polytechnic campuses. The aim was to improve the safety and accessibility of the area, as well as lifting the look and feel for students, staff, and the wider community. We still want to do this work, but it makes sense to delay it until after the Central City upgrade work is done. We plan to spend $1 million in 2030-31 on some preliminary planning work, with a view to starting work in the next 10-year period. Amato mahi. Here are some of the things we do. 3 waters: water and wastewater treatment plants, reservoirs, pipes and pumping stations. Roading and footpaths: roads, footpaths, cycleways, traffic and street lights and street cleaning. Reserves and recreational facilities: parks, swimming pools, sports grounds, the Dunedin Botanic Garden, cemeteries and public toilets. Property, community housing, community centres and halls, and managing the properties we own. Aratoi, arts and culture. Libraries, Toi Tu Otago Settlers Museum, Lanyuan Chinese Garden, Dunedin Public Art Gallery, Ulverston and City of Literature. Waste management, Kerbside rubbish and recycling collections and landfills. Regulatory services, building consents and inspections, dog registration, noise control, parking operations, environmental health and alcohol licensing. Community and planning, the district plan, resource consents, grants and events, and support for place-based groups. Economic development, business advice, city marketing, eyesight visitor information and economic development. Governance and support services, customer inquiries, communications, finance, human resources, policy, administration, councillors and community boards, and IT. Te puna pūtea, where we get our money from. The DCC gets its money from a range of sources. About 67% comes from your rates, with the rest from fees, charges, rents, subsidies and grants, as well as some money from council-owned companies. Rates examples. The rates you pay are related to the capital value of your property. The table in the next 4 sections shows what the proposed rates rise in 2021-22 means for a selection of different properties. Go to www.dunedin.govt.nz/rates to see your rates. Table, first section, residential. This section of the table has 5 columns and 4 rows. Headings in the top row are capital value, 2020 to 21 rates, 2021 to 22 rates, increase, and increase as a percentage. Now to the data. Capital value, $385,000. 2020 to 21 rates, $2,267. 2021 to 22 rates, $2,487. Increase $220. Increase 9.7%. Capital value $464,400. Average. 2020 to 21 rates $2,494. 2021 to 22 rates $2,735. Increase $241. Increase 9.7%. Capital value $530,000. 2020 to 21 rates $2,682. 2021 to 22 rates $2,940. Increase $258. Increase $9.6. Capital value $750,000. 2020 to 21 rates $3,311. 2021 to 22 rates $3,627. Increase $316. 9.5%. Table, second section, commercial. This section of the table has 5 columns and 3 rows. The headings of the columns are the same as in section 1 of the table. Capital value, 2020 to 21 rates, 2021 to 22 rates, increase, and increase as a percentage. Capital value $495,000. 2020 to 21 rates $5,892. 2021 to 22 rates $6,401. Increase $509. Increase 8.6%. $1,605,000. $17,579. $19,127, $1,548, 8.8%. $5,500,000, $58,589, $63,781, $5,192, 8.9%. Section 3 of the table. Farmland, General and Community Services rates only. This section of the table has 5 columns and 3 rows. Headings are the same as in sections 1 and 2. $1,265,000, $2,994, $3,263, $269, 9%. $4,233,000, $9,778, $10,672, $894, 9.1%. $7,250,000, $16,688, $18,219, $1,531, 9.2%. Section 4 of the table. Lifestyle, General and Community Services rates only. This section of the table has the same 5-column headings as the previous 3 sections. It has 3 rows. $510,000, $1,485, $1,616, $131, 8.8%. $725,000, $2,069, $2,254, $185, 8.9%. $930,000, $2,626,000, $2,863, $237, 9%. That is the end of the table. Fees and charges. Most of our fees are going up by 3%. This is mainly to cover extra costs. We propose increasing the charge for on- and off-street all-day car parks from $6 to $7 a day. In light of the new pool facilities that are coming, we plan to review pool charges over the next year. Development contributions. When land is developed, we may need to install larger pipes, widen roads, make seal extensions, and provide additional capacity for our treatment plants, storage, and pumps. Developers contribute to the costs associated with providing these services, and that is called a development contribution. We have reviewed our development contributions policy and charges and are proposing to make some changes. The revised policy and charges can be found at www.dunedin.gov.nz/development-contributions in our 10-year plan supporting documents. Rates remission and postponement policy. We have undertaken a review of our rates remission and postponement policy, and minor changes to the policy are proposed. The revised policy can be found at www.dunedin.gov.nz/rates-remissions and in our 10-year plan supporting documents. Independent Auditor's Report. Audit New Zealand, mana aro tāke Aotearoa. To the reader. Independent Auditor's Report on Dunedin City Council's consultation document for its proposed 2021-31 long-term plan. I am the Auditor General's appointed auditor for Dunedin City Council, the Council. The Local Government Act 2002, the Act, requires the Council to prepare a consultation document when developing its long-term plan. Section 93C of the Act sets out the content requirements of the consultation document and requires an audit report on the consultation document. I have done the work for this report using the staff and resources of Audit New Zealand. We completed our report on the 9th of March 2021. Opinion. In our opinion, the consultation document provides an effective basis for public participation in the Council's decisions about the proposed content of its 2021-31 long-term plan because it fairly represents the matters proposed for inclusion in the long-term plan and identifies and explains the main issues and choices facing the Council and the City of Dunedin and the consequences of those choices, and the information and assumptions underlying the information in the consultation document are reasonable. Emphasis of matter on the Three Waters reform. Without modifying our opinion, we draw attention to the disclosure under the heading Ka whakahoutaka e toru o te wai, Three Waters reform. We draw attention to the disclosure under the heading Ka whakahoutaka e toru o te wai, Three Waters reform, earlier in this document, outlining the government's intention to make Three Waters reform decisions during 2021. The effect that the reforms may have on Three Waters services provided is currently uncertain because no decisions have been made. The consultation document was prepared as if these services will continue to be provided by the Council, but future decisions may result in significant changes, which would affect the information on which the consultation document has been based. Basis of opinion. We carried out our work in accordance with the International Standard on Assurance Engagements, New Zealand, 3000, revised. Assurance engagements other than audits or reviews of historical financial information. In meeting the requirements of this standard, we took into account particular elements of the Auditor General's auditing standards and the International Standard on Assurance Engagements 3400, the examination of prospective financial information that were consistent with those requirements. We assessed the evidence the Council has to support the information and disclosures in the consultation document. To select appropriate procedures, we assessed the risk of material misstatement and the Council's systems and processes applying to the preparation of the consultation document. We did not evaluate the security and controls over the publication of the consultation document. Responsibilities of the Council and Auditor. The Council is responsible for meeting all legal requirements relating to its procedures, decisions, consultation, disclosures and other actions associated with preparing and publishing its consultation document and long-term plan, whether in printed or electronic form, having systems and processes in place to provide the supporting information and analysis the Council needs to be able to prepare its consultation document and long-term plan that meet the purposes set out in the Act, and ensuring that any forecast financial information being presented has been prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting practice in New Zealand. We are responsible for reporting on the consultation document as required by Section 93C of the Act. We do not express an opinion on the merits of any policy content of the consultation document. Independence and quality control. We have complied with the Auditor General's independence and other ethical requirements, which incorporate the independence and ethical requirements of Professional and Ethical Standard 1, issued by the New Zealand Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, and quality control requirements, which incorporate the quality control requirements of Professional and Ethical Standard 3, amended, issued by the New Zealand Auditing and Assurance Standards Board. Other than our work in carrying out all legally required external audit and assurance engagements, we have no relationship with or interests in the Council or any of its subsidiaries. Julian Tan, Audit New Zealand, on behalf of the Auditor General, Dunedin, New Zealand. Korerohia mai. Join the conversation. Feedback closes at noon on Thursday the 29th of April 2021. We want to know what you think of our plans for the next 10 years, and we need your help to make these decisions. For more information, go to www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or visit our community engagement space, open from 29th of March, located at the Octagon entrance of the Civic Centre opposite the Eyesight Visitor Centre, or any of our libraries or service centres. Online, go to www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, and fill in the online feedback form. Facebook Dunedin City Council, Twitter @DN City Council, hashtags, hashtag Korerohia mai, all one word, hashtag Join the Conversation, all one word. Written feedback. Write a letter or use the feedback form and post to 10-Year Plan, Dunedin City Council, PO Box 5045, Dunedin 9054. Talk with councillors. Councillors will be coming to an event or public place near you for face-to-face conversations. See our website for details of where and when. Hearings. You can also speak to all councillors at the hearings on the 10th to the 13th of May. To register for the hearings, go to www.thefutureofus, all one word, .nz, or phone us on 03 477 4000. Some events and activities may not go ahead if COVID-19 alert levels change. Please see the website for the most up-to-date information. Te whakahoki kōrero. Feedback form. Feedback closes at noon on Thursday the 29th of April 2021. The form has space for contact details as follows: name, organisation if applicable, postal address, postcode, telephone, email address. A range of age groups are given, with a circle to tick for the appropriate one. Under 20 years, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60, 61 to 70, 70 plus. A range of ethnicities are given, with a circle to tick for the appropriate one. New Zealand European, Maori, Samoan, Cook Islands Maori, Tongan, Niuean, Chinese, Indian, other, please state, and the space for your statement. Hearings. Do you want to speak to councillors at the hearings? Place a tick inside the appropriate circle, yes or no. Please place a tick inside the circle for your preferred time. Monday the 10th of May, morning, afternoon. Tuesday the 11th of May, morning, afternoon. Wednesday 12th of May, morning, afternoon. Thursday the 13th of May, morning, afternoon. Kerbside collection. See under the headings Kerbside rubbish, preferred option, alternative option for more details. Option 1, preferred option. I support 4 bins. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Option 2, I support 3 bins. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Do you have any comments about the proposed curbside collection options? There's space given here to write your comments. Moving around our city. For more details, see under the heading Te nuku I te tō tātou tāone earlier in this document. Which of the following projects do you support? Harbour arterial improvements, $16.6 million. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Central City Parking Management, $11 million. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Park and ride facilities at Mosgiel and Burnside, $10.3 million. Yes, no. Princes Street Bus Lane, $6.6 million. Yes, no. Central Cycle and Pedestrian Improvements, $5 million. Yes, no. Central City Bike Hubs, Parking and Facilities, $2.5 million. Yes, no. Do you have any comments on these projects? Space is given for your comments. Community housing. Community housing. For more details, see under the heading Whakatepu earlier in this document. Do you support rates being used to subsidise rents for DCC's community housing? Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Should the DCC build more community housing units? If yes, place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Option 1, preferred option. I support spending $1 million each year to build more housing units. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Option 2, I support spending $2 million each year to build more housing units. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Do you support the DCC prioritising its community housing for people aged 65 and over? Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Any other comments? There's space given for your comments. Performing arts venue. For more details, see under the headings Tō tātou tāone whakamiharo, our great small city, performing arts venue, preferred option, alternative option. Do you support the DCC developing a mid-sized theatre? Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. If yes, option 1, preferred option. I support the development of the Athenaeum, $17.1 million. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Option 2, I support the development of the Mayfair Theatre, $31.2 million. Place a tick inside the appropriate circle. Yes, no. Any other comments? The space given for your comments. Public toilets. For more details, see under the heading Public Toilets earlier in this document. The DCC is planning to have more public toilets in the city. Where do you think they should go? There's space for your suggestions. General feedback. There's a lot of space here for your feedback. The provision of your personal information is optional. However, should you provide this information, please note your name and organisation may be included in papers for the public and media. Information you have provided will only be used for the purpose of the 10-year plan. This year, the Council is also asking for your age, in age bands, and ethnicity. This information will be used to help us understand where we get our feedback from and help us plan future engagements. The Council will collect, use and store your information in accordance with the privacy policy, which can be found on the Council website www.dunedin.gov.nz/privacy-policy. If you would like a copy of the personal information we hold about you, or to have the information corrected, please contact us at dcc@dcc.govt.nz or 03 477 4000. Remember, your feedback needs to reach the Council by noon on Thursday the 29th of April 2021. Thank you for joining the conversation. Whakapā mai. Contact us. Internet www.dunedin.gov.nz. Email dcc@dcc.govt.nz. Phone 03 477 4000. Facebook Dunedin City Council. Twitter @DN City Council. YouTube Dunedin City Council, all one word. Closing announcement. That concludes Tō tātou eke whakamuri, The Future is Us. O te Poti Dunedin, Dunedin 10-Year Plan Consultation Document 2021 to 2031. This narration was by Margaret Blay in the Henderson Studios of Blind and Low Vision NZ. Thank you. Kia ora mai.